You're such an asshole.
AssholeConsulting.com. We have an outstanding question, and it's a question that the Gen Xers faced. It's a question millennials face. It's going to be a question the Gen Zers face. And until we get some testosterone back into society, it is going to be a question all future young men and some women will face. Hey, asshole, I'll cut to the chase. I'm a young man whose dad never taught him any handy skills, who would like to learn some basic things, car repair, basic home maintenance, etc. What resources and guide would you recommend for getting started? How did you go about learning these things? Take care and keep being your asshole self. Thank you. That was kind regards, Matt. Matt writes that. YouTube. That's the short answer. YouTube. Because what you have to realize is that masculinity has been eliminated from pretty much the baby boomer generation on. I keep hating to talk in generations, but it's descriptive, it's true, and it helps everybody understand what's going on. Baby boom, my dad didn't teach me shit in terms of maintenance and repair. We didn't have money for computers. Computers were just coming out. Oh, that's something the nerdy, rich, hobbyist dad's kids had. There wasn't much about computer repair. And there certainly was no carpentry going on. Everybody, and I was in the epitome of the age where you were a moron if you went into the trades. The trades were for the solid C and D students back in middle school and high school. And the truth is, the kids who were getting C's and D's in middle school and high school, those were the geniuses. Those were the truly intelligent ones, because school is made for fucking conformist morons. All right? And if you're like me, you struggled. I'd ace all the math classes. But, oh my God, English and fucking history and all this bullshit. It's just not made for smart people. So what ends up happening is the smart people do poorly in an environment that's made for dumb people. Oh my God, you can't, you're hopeless, you're worthless. Go into the trades, you moron. And then this reputation, like, you don't want to go into the trades, only the smart people go to college. So everyone's going into college, but they don't learn how to plumb, run electrical wires, basic car maintenance, oil changes, all this other stuff. Because you were on, I remember 80s and 90s. No. You were dumb if you were a mechanic. You were dumb if you, no, you need to go to college. That's where the smart people are. So in a very simple, even naive economic sense, I thought, division of labor, I'm going to go become an economist, make lots of money, because that's where they told me the money was. You go to college and sit at a desk. And these morons and schleps, they get dirty and they just fix cars and fix generators and make the world go around. And like, oh, because they got C's and D's in school because they were stupid. So, and it's still almost to this way today. Now, I think Gen Z's waking up a little bit because they see the crater that once where the millennials stood, who all went to college, sucking their own dicks. And they had surgery. All millennials had surgery where they break the spine and extend it a little bit so you could bend over and suck your own dick about going to college. And now Gen Zers are watching like, hey, plumbers make $60 an hour. Hey, my older brother who went to school at McAllister and majored in sociology is unemployed and lives at home still. Meanwhile, my buddy Bob's older brother Frank, he went and became an auto mechanic, and he makes $50 an hour. And so I think, especially now with the internet, to at minimum counter the lie and the propaganda that only stupid people go into the trades, I think people are waking up to it now. And then when you look at the torture generation and the miserable failure that millennials are, there's a very clear argument for the trades. At minimum, the tarnished reputation of the trades is no longer there. That being said, there's still a push. Go to college. The trades, if you want it. But the fathers of today's generations, be you a young boomer father or a Gen X father, they were still pushed into the trades are bad, college good, and they have no skills. None. Now, I'm very thankful I kind of transversed the gender where I saw pre-internet and post-internet, because I remember I was going to school for finance. I was going to become a banker. This is what I'm going to be an analyst. And maybe I learned a little bit of programming and some computer stuff. But I didn't know how to, I could change oil and change a tire. That was about it. I didn't know how to change spark plug. So I remember the days, I'm dirt poor. Career ain't going nowhere. It was supposed to, according to the baby boomers. Living in basements, just getting by. 85 Cutlass Supreme. Those things, they break down. And now I got to fix them. So I'd go to my buddy who was a mechanic. And all mechanic buddies are going to tell you they hated your friends. Like, hey, can you fix this for me? And they're the ones that had to go through trade school. They're the ones that had their father actually teach. They're the ones getting dirty, busting up their knuckles, skin and blood and everything like that. And then you come walking like, hey, can you do this? And like, because it's vital that your car works. They know it's vital. They're nice people, but they get frustrated. You're like, why don't you do it yourself? No one taught us. Our dads didn't teach us shit. And then the Chilton books, I don't know if you remember the Chilton books, big ass books. And you couldn't even go to the library. You had to pay money to get these big ass books that would show you step by step on paper how to do it, which still isn't as good as having someone instructionally visually show you how to do it. So for a long time, your buddy who was the mechanic or the electrician or just had a dad around that gave you good trade skills, they were invaluable, but you would quickly burn through any favors they had because you were poor. Everything breaks down, and they got more than one friend. Like the guy who had the truck. Gonna borrow your truck? No, you can't borrow my truck. Although I do let people borrow my truck. I'm like, yeah, take the truck. I don't need it. So then the internet comes along. It wasn't even that. High-speed bandwidth and comes along where you got YouTube. And I think, what was it, 7, 8 years ago? Now it's been 10 years now. I got my motorcycle, and it coincided with the same time that YouTube was like having instructional videos and things like that. And all I had to do, YouTube. Oh, how do I do this? YouTube. There's a guy, already shows you, not only shows you how to do a carburetor, or a drive shaft, but the drive shaft for your specific bike, or the spark plug change for your specific car. And you can instructions. You take your laptop out. In the old days, you run back into the house, watch. Okay, you run back out into the car. You go back in. Okay, what's the next thing? You run back in. But then YouTube basically replaced fathers in terms of teaching kids how to do basic repairs and maintenance. And so now that's how I do it. And I've become actually, I wouldn't say a terribly accomplished mechanic, but I can fix my motorcycle on pretty much anything except for rebuilding an engine. That's because I don't have the tools for it. So that's, when you ask what resources and guides we recommend to get started, YouTube. How do you go about learning these things? YouTube. Take care and keep being your asshole self. So that's what I would say is YouTube. There are some places like your local community college. If you want to be with a group of people, there's clubs. A buddy of mine, he runs a Christian group that has like a basic auto repair maintenance thing. I think he uses it to score chicks, which is brilliant. Like, hey, we're gonna do if you want to come in. And he's kind of like, well, I figure they're Christian, and then they also want to get some mechanical aptitude, so they got to be pretty cool chicks. Can't fault his logic in that one. So there's groups of people, community ed programs that may be a little bit more fun. But honestly, you don't need that. How my computer doesn't work. Google it. What's the problem? They'll probably tell you what it is that you got to do. All these problems associated with carpentry, computers, and auto repair, they're all out there on the internet. And if they're not, they soon will be, because if you have a problem, soon as it... Like, there's another problem that I've just been too damn lazy to look up. All of a sudden, RSS links aren't working anymore on Firefox-based browsers and Chrome browsers. And it's an annoying pain in the ass. It's not that mission critical to my company, but it's like my RSS link doesn't work anymore. It's like, fuck. Yeah, I looked it up. Didn't find anything. Haven't found anything yet. That was about 2 months ago. Now there's probably something out there. And so I'm not going to call Geek Squad to fix it, because it's going to take too damn long for them to get out there and get back. It's going to cost me money. You can usually fix most shit by the time you had to run out and do it and pay somebody else to do it for you. All right? So it's YouTube, Google, if it's a computer question. They'll tell you what to type in and everything. And carpentry is the same thing. Now, in addition, here's the problem, is it's not just, oh, I go to YouTube and I go to Google and my problems are solved. Software, computer problems that are not hardware, you can solve without equipment or tools. Everything else, you're going to need equipment and tools. If you're actually taking apart a motherboard, you're actually taking apart your computer, you're installing a graphics card, you're going to need tools. If you're changing the oil, you're changing the filter, you're changing a timing belt, you're going to need tools. And then if you're putting in a shed, or you're doing sheetrock, or you're doing anything with house, you're going to need tools. And whereas I'd like to say, hey, go online, buy a prepackaged computer tools kit set, get all the power tools you need for carpentry, and get all the tools you need for auto mechanics. If you're a young man and you're living in an apartment, you probably don't have the room, and you probably don't have the budget for a lot of those power tools or pneumatic tools. So what I'd strongly recommend, computers nowadays are so cheap though, you can buy them used. Get yourself a standard computer repair kit. It's just it's really just small screwdrivers is all it is. But I would get that. That's going to cost you nothing. You can find that by clicking the Amazon link below, and I get a commission, and you don't pay anything extra. You are going to want a basic set of good old-fashioned Stanley tools, which you can also find in the Amazon affiliate link below. Just click on that. I've linked to some other, you get a big ass, it's a suitcase of tools. You could get a toolbox. Those are uncomfortable. They don't know. I like getting the suitcase, even though I still have the old tool set that my old neighbor gave to me 20 odd years ago. It's this blue steel, badass looking motherfucking thing. But you now can get them, because you want to keep your socket wrenches and everything organized. And now they have basically a big plastic suitcase. You open it up, everything locks in. It's very organized and neat. You're not fucking around looking for this, the 9/16 wrench or whatever. So I would recommend spending the money on that. Down below. Then you get into carpentry and power tools. Carpentry, okay, hammer, saw, what else? Power drill. But then if you want to do carpentry, you got to look in. Now prices start going up a lot because you're bringing in power tools. So now you need an air compressor. Now you need a radial saw. Now you need, I'm trying to think what else. And even to this day, I have a radial saw. I have a power drill. I think those are the only power tools I have because they also take up room. Bandsaw take up room. You can do most of the stuff you need to do with a power drill and a radial saw, and then after that, then it's like maybe you want to get a carpenter. Plumbing has its own unique tools. That's the other thing. Plumbing, electrical work, those are going to have their own unique tools, but it's not going to set you back. But if you want an air compressor, if you want a power drill, if you want a lift, even my I got these ramps to drive the car up so I can work underneath the car. It's not that they're expensive, they're not. They take up room. And so now you're faced with this paradox, like, okay, I could buy all these tools, but I don't have the room, and occasionally it's just to fix the car this one time. So what I would do is just stick with the computer tools, your Stanley box, power drill, not even a radial saw until you own a house. And that's all you should really have as a young man or woman, is that Stanley, a big-ass plastic suitcase of tools, a power drill. Hacksaw is worth having too. Hacksaw is worth having. Maybe some plumbing tools, but it's not until you get a house, and a computer tool set. Stuff to work on your car with. Computer, it's going to be more software shooting and troubleshooting. Then when you get a home, that's when you're going to hopefully have a garage. Don't even bother buying a home unless you got a garage with it. You could store some power tools, and now you start getting into your carpentry and plumbing tools and your electrical work tools. So altimeter, the big old plumbing pipe wrench, the copper pipe cutting device, although that's not big at all. You can usually use that. And I have a list, if you want. I detail it a list in Bachelor Pad Economics about tools. There's a whole segment about tools, about which ones you want to get. But prioritizing it, computer, basic all mechanic tools should cover you until you have a house. Then, if and when you buy a house, then you get the carpentry tools, because then you're going to be doing carpentry work. And those are going to be your more expensive ones with your power tools and all that other stuff. But in terms of learning, yeah, it's just YouTube. And I always say you get 2 cars, your decent car and your grocery getter. That way, if any one of them breaks down, you got another car and you can go. It also gives you a great opportunity to learn to work on cars. I strongly recommend for all you young people out there, do not get a new car. The older car you can get for your grocery getter, in a certain sense, the better, because it's not packed with all this shit. Now it's almost getting too old for that, but I had an 89 Cutlass Supreme, an 89 Chevy Caprice Classic and an 85 Cutlass Supreme. Both cars were great to work on. Why? Because you pop the hood, you could actually reach and get things. And there wasn't a shit ton of crap added. There wasn't an electrical alarm system, wasn't this beeping thing, there wasn't the start-stop engine. Hey, radiator, engine, air intake, oil filter underneath, spark plugs right there. They were a lot easier to work on. And so if you start with a car that's easy to work on, popping the hood up of some crappy, over-engineered German piece of shit. Never get a German car, but just don't even bother with the fucking Krauts. Okay, don't even bother with them. They're like, hey, let's make it complicated so we can make it complicated. Just Audis, Beamers, Porsche, get that shit out of here. Japanese and American, or Korean. Koreans are actually, I love my Kia. Very easy to work on, and start with that. Work on that, and start with basic stuff. Brake pads. Oil changes, air filter, all this. That's pretty easy to do. And just go online. And soon, it took me about 2 years, but 2 years working on 2 different bikes, I became a really good motorcycle mechanic. And that parlays into auto mechanics as well, because the principles are the same. It's just 2 more wheels and not as fun. And that's it. So, yeah, it's sad. Yeah, in the olden days, I guess that happened. I don't know when, but Dad would teach you, hey, let's work on a car, son, and there'd be beers, and you'd let you have your first beer at 16, and then, hey, you helped out with the car. Tosses you the keys. Take out Peggy Sue. Have a good time. Don't come home too early. That never happens anymore. It won't happen. It won't happen for you millennial boys either. Because most of you don't have your driver's license. Whoa, making fun of millennials, sir. Yes. All right, that's it. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.